Mortal Kombat, the live-action movie to the mega-hit Ultraviolet video game that had mothers and congressmen clutching their pearls. If you weren't alive during the time that this game came out, it was an event. There had never been a video game like this before. It looks ridiculous now, but at the time, this was the most violent and bloody thing that you could ever play. This game is one of the main reasons that the ESRB even exists. I played it. Hell, I own it. But fighting games aren't really my thing. I was never that good at it. This was honestly one of those games where you had a friend who this was the only game he owned, and so he was really good at it. And then you'd go over to his house and you'd be like, let's play Mortal Kombat. And you'd be like, yeah, okay. And he would proceed to beat the shit out of you over and over and over again. And then he'd be like, dude, you suck at this game. And you'd be like, fuck you, Devin. I don't even own a Super Nintendo. I'm poor. I don't know anything about Mortal Kombat lore. I don't know what the story is. So I'm not going to judge this movie based on any of that. So don't come at me with any of that bullshit, because if you do, I'm going to report you to the cyber police. All right, let's watch Mortal Kombat. Fight! And right out of the gate, there's that theme song. This song is it's bigger than the movie. It's still a slapper. Imagine being the guy who got to scream, Mortal Kombat! 40 years later, I'd still be telling people, hey, that's me. We open to an older dude who's ruthlessly pummeling a younger, weaker dude. He ends up breaking his back, grabs him by the head, and then he turns to the camera and he says, your brother's soul is mine, and you are next. And then he turns into a scary skeleton corpse. Scary. Our main character, Liu Kang, he wakes up in a fright. This was all just a nightmare. Thank God. He's got this telegram from his grandfather. All it says is, brother dead. Return home. Thanks, Grandpa. Miss you too. Now we're in Hong Kong. We see Sonya and Jax. They're looking for this guy named Kano. I know all of this because they just said all those names in about 5 seconds. They're some kind of special ops military force, and they're beating their way through this industrial rave club. Kano is on the phone, and he's like, yeah, they're right on time. And then he turns and half of his face is all metal. It's sick as hell. And he's talking to this guy named Shang Tsung, and oh my God, that's the guy from Liu's dream. We learn that Kano killed Sonya's partner, and Shang needs Kano to lure her onto a boat so that she can be in some tournament? Huh? Wonder what kind of tournament that could be. Now we see a white guy, and he beats up some corporate thugs, but it turns out that this is all just a movie set. This is Johnny Cage, and he's a bit of a diva. A guy comes up to him on set, and he's like, hey, there's somebody here to meet you, and it's this old guy named Master Boyd, and he says, Johnny, you're one of the best fighters ever. You should join this tournament. Is anybody going to tell me what this tournament is? He tells him there's a boat in Hong Kong. You need to be on it. It leaves tomorrow. Then we see Boyd walking through a parking garage, and holy shit, it was Shang Tsung the whole time. He can shapeshift. Now we are at the Temple of Light in China. Liu goes to meet some monk, which turns out to be his grandfather. He's like, what happened to my brother? And he's like, he was training for the tournament, just like you were. He's like, Grandpa, that tournament is bullshit. And he's like, nuh-uh. Then Liu makes an announcement that he wants to represent the temple in the tournament to avenge his brother's killer. Then this white guy comes out of the shadows, and he's like, you were a bitch about it, but now you want vengeance? You're not ready. This is Raiden. He can control lightning. Very cool. He's like, okay, you punk, you think you can win? Show me. And then he throws him to the ground super easy. And Liu's like, well, why didn't you just protect my brother? And he's like, why didn't you? Touche. Raiden, he's cool. Raiden's cool. I like him. Raiden and Grandpa are like, he is just not ready, but we ain't got no time. This is the best we can do. In Hong Kong, on a dock, everybody is assembling. Liu and Johnny have this funny little interaction. Sonya and Jax are scoping the place out. And then up pulls this really cool looking dragon boat that's surrounded by fog. Sonya sees Kano get on, and she girl runs to catch the ship. She makes her way below deck, and she meets Shang. Johnny and Liu come down to intervene when in walk two ninjas, a blue ninja and a yellow ninja, Scorpion and Sub-Zero. These guys are apparently slaves of Shang Tsung's. Sonya whips out a pistol, and Sub-Zero freezes her gun and snaps it like a twig. And Scorpion has this like metal bird that can come out of his hand. Gross. Before they can slaughter the gang, they're knocked back by big electric balls. It's Raiden. Shang and Raiden have a little girly spat, and the guys are like, what the fuck is going on here? And then he tells them to follow him, and he explodes into this weird blob thing. On deck, Raiden tells them what's up. They have been picked to defend Earth in a fighting tournament called Mortal Kombat. If they don't win, Shang Tsung and his friends are going to take over the Earth. And then he's like, one of you are going to be the deciding factor in all of this. Gee, I wonder who it's going to be. And then overhead in the sky, there's this giant skull. It's so fucking sick. Shang Tsung is on the boat and he's like busting and all this skeleton stuff's going everywhere. The fighters arrive on a beach. Johnny is such a diva, of course. He's got like so much luggage. Sonya's pissed off because her phone's not working and the compasses are spinning all out of whack. It's at this point that I've realized that Lou is kind of a jackass. He obviously has the most insider information to what all of this is. The other two are like, I just got here. I don't know what the hell's going on. And he'll just say things about what's happening and they'll look at him and be like, huh? And he'll just kind of smirk and walk away. Like, no elaboration whatsoever. Here he says something to Johnny about, oh, I guess the legends were true. And Johnny's like, what legends? And he just walks away from him. Lou, where are you going? What legends? Fucking asshole. They follow a path that goes up a mountain that's in the clouds. They end up in some kind of demonic looking cavern with all these crazy statues. Lou spots some babe from afar and they're giving each other the eyes. Shang walks up to tell us her name, thank God, which is Princess Kitana. Then he tells this lizard statue to keep an eye on her and it transforms and it runs away. And wowee, that looked like complete shit. I know that like CGI was very new at the time, but whew, that is some of the worst CGI I have ever seen. I love it. It kind of reminds me of something out of that show Beast Wars, if you ever watched that. Now we are in a dining hall and everybody's eating when in walks the ninjas and a bunch of these oiled up muscle guys. And then Shang comes in to welcome them all to the tournament. Then the muscle guys run down and they start flipping all the tables over. Sub-Zero gets ready to fight one of these dudes. And this guy, he does a bunch of punches and kicks to try and look intimidating, and he also sounds hilarious. He does a running kick and Sub-Zero hits him with a cold ice ball and he turns to ice and shatters at Shang's feet. It's fucking cool. And then Shang says the line, flawless victory, like the game. Lou and Sonya are both like, hey, we gotta go after Shang. Then we see this creature person watching them from behind a wall. He's got these big hands but 3 fingers. What the hell? They head deeper into the caverns and they see the shadow of a giant beast and it's got 4 arms. They find Kano eating meat like a savage and he's talking shit about Shang Tsung to this 4-armed beast. This 4-armed guy, this is Goro and he looks awesome. Then Shang shows up to tell them all of his evil plans, which is really convenient that the gang is sitting there listening. He says Kano needs to fight Sonya and beat her, but that Liu Kang, he's the descendant of some really important guy, and this has even Shang worried. The gang decides that they need to get out of here, and Shang hears them, and then he sicks all of his muscle guys on them. They get a little lost. He sees Princess Kitana, and Liu has this boner for her, so he chases after her by himself. He ends up in this weird blue cave and he sees this cloaked thing kind of like the Predator and it spits in his face. It's that weird CGI reptile thing from before and it's whipping around the room like crazy and runs away. In a different room, the hooded muscle guys attack and our gang takes them all down with choreographed ease. Raiden shows up and then more of these hooded guys and then he's like, hey, faces. Not so fast, and he does this little lightning thing, and they all back off and let them leave. I got to talk about the sets. I think there's been enough now that you can kind of get a grasp of what's going on here. I think the sets in this are pretty good. They look really like detailed and intricate, but at the same time, kind of cheap, like a small little gust could knock over some of the biggest things in here. I'm really digging it. I like it. I think it all still looks pretty good. First day the tournament starts. We've got Liu versus some guy, and he's got a really weird face. He has this like permanent Joker smile. They fight with some sticks for a little bit, which is kind of weird. I thought Mortal Kombat was just kind of punching and kicking. Liu wins after he does this flying double leg kick into his chest. Shang comes over and he sucks the soul out of the loser. It's actually really cool. Next up, Sonya versus Kano. Oh boy. And I gotta say, I love the actor that plays Kano. He is really great. Most of the actors in this feel a little stiff. Johnny's pretty good. What's his name? Christopher Lambert, as always, is awesome. But, like, you know, I feel like everybody else is just kind of whatever. But Kano, he's very good. They fight, and Kano gets a little too cocky before Sonya ends up putting him in a headlock with her legs, and she snaps his neck. Lucky! Now we're in what I assume is a tree farm. Scorpion versus Johnny, and this feels a little unfair. This guy's like superpowers. That metal bird comes out of his hand again, and then he yells, "Get over here!" And the bird shoots out of his hand, and it chases Johnny around, and he narrowly escapes it. He shoots it again, and this time Johnny ducks, and it splatters all over a tree trunk. Johnny then goes to kick him, and Scorpion takes him through a portal. A portal? This is like straight up cheating. And Johnny lands in this very scary, red, dusty old cavern with bones and cobwebs all over the place. Scorpion then appears and he goes, "Welcome!" And it's like, wait, dude, do you live here? There's cobwebs and dust on everything, man. What's your bed look like? They punch and kick a lot. It's a pretty even fight considering that Scorpion's like some kind of demon ninja. Johnny does some gymnastics to get away and Scorpion knocks him down. Scorpion then takes off his mask to reveal he's actually a scary skeleton. Then he breathes fire and Johnny blocks it with a shield. Then throws a spear at him which shoots out all this goop and fire and he's like, yeah! Johnny jumps into the air and slices him with the shield in the chest and he explodes. Goop and fire are going everywhere. I love this. More of this, please. Now it's Liu versus Princess Kitana. She tells him during the fight that he needs to fight with all his heart. And then they do a couple of things and she's like, in your next fight, use the element which brings life. He's like, huh? This fight sucked. It wasn't really a fight at all. She just lets him win. Shang is just not happy that she's used this entire fight as some kind of a teaching moment for Liu. Now it's Liu versus Sub-Zero. And they are jumping and flipping all over the frickin' place. Liu does this little jump that I loved. Yeah. Finally, Sub-Zero, he's had enough, and he makes this big, giant ice shield bubble. Princess Kitana just walks in from the side and stares at him, and then he's like, oh, right, the element of life, water. And he hurls this bucket of water at Sub-Zero, which goes through the ice bubble and turns the water into a gigantic icicle that impales him. Shang goes and talks to Goro. He's like, yo, big dog. You're up. And then we see him proceed to kill like 100 guys. And now he's gonna face this guy who has been hanging around to the crew the whole time, but I honestly don't know his name. Pretty positive he's just here to die to Goro. And he dies. Yeah, he does. He barely even gets a hit in on him. Goro's just abusing this poor dude. And then Shang absorbs his soul into his eye. They're talking to Raiden later, and they're like, how the fuck are we gonna beat that? He's like, you can, I promise. You just have to not be afraid. All these guys have to do is face their fears, and they will win. Johnny tells Sonya, like, hey, I'm gonna fight him so that he doesn't kill you. Because I'm in love with you, even though we just met yesterday. She's like, what the fuck, man? Fuck you, no. He goes to Shang and he's like, hey, I want to fight Goro. And Shang's like, that's not really how this works, but okay, if you want to do that, then I get to challenge Sonya at any time, any place. Which none of this really was making a whole lot of sense to me. Like, what kind of a shitty deal is this? Johnny came in here to fight Goro so that Goro wouldn't kill Sonya, but then he's like, yeah, okay, sure, Shang, you can fight her, that's fine. Raiden shows up and he's like, hey, no, don't do that. And Johnny's like, fuck you, I'm doing it. That's why it's called Mortal Kombat. Raiden then acts like he's pissed, but secretly he's like, this guy's kind of cool. The crowd for Goro versus Cage is fucking hyped. Before the fight starts, Goro takes his sunglasses off his face and smashes them. Johnny does the splits and punches Goro square in the nuts. He's like, oh. You can really feel the pain from that. Johnny then uses this opportunity to run away. He goes over towards a cliffside. Goro comes after him. They barely fight, and he kicks Goro off the side. Goro is now dead. This fight was fucking lame. It didn't have a whole lot of build up, and Goro falling happened super fast. It felt very anticlimactic. Shang now has Sonya, and he's taking her hostage. He's like, I'm going to fight her, and they're like, dude, no, you can't. Then he forms this bubble thing, which sucks them both in. Raiden says he's taking her to the Emperor's castle, but what he's failed to mention is that she has to agree to fight him. Them's the rules. And Liu and Johnny are like, all right, well, we're going to go get her. And Reptile is spying on them the whole time, too, that little lizard bastard. So they both walk into the cavernous butthole portal, which transports them to another hellish landscape. This is called Outworld, which is like an evil realm or something. We get some really great shots of the castle and all of the decor. And all these weird whispering creeps are moving all over the place. Liu stops suddenly because he notices something, and it's Reptile hiding in the wall. He grabs him and he throws him into one of these weird like demon statues, which absorbs him, and then it turns into a green ninja. Oh fuck. And he kicks the piss out of Liu, and he sends him through a wall. And this guy is good. He's manhandling Liu for most of the fight. Liu then hits him with a devastating Hurricane Rana. Then he does this bicycle kick move where he kicks him in the chest a bunch of times in the air. And then he turns back into the statue and like a bunch of bugs or something. Then Reptile spills out of the demon thing again, and Liu stomps him. He's dead. Princess Katana then shows up, and she explains what's about to happen. She tells Liu, you're going to face 3 opponents, yada yada yada. Wasn't really listening. Next, we get an absolutely wild shot of Sonya tied up in this chamber. They changed her clothes, too. That's weird. Shang comes in, and she's like, I'm not fighting you. And he's like, you have to, or you lose the tournament. And she's like, my friends are going to come here, and they're going to kick your ass. But they're already there. Princess Katana is like, Shang, you are manipulating this, you piece of shit, and you're going to fight good and proper. And Liu's like, you're fighting me. Mortal Kombat! Liu and Shang fight, and eventually Liu makes him bleed, and then he summons up all of these souls that he's absorbed, and all these crazy strong guys start popping out of the floor. Liu is able to take them all out really easily. Then Shang transforms into his dead brother, and Liu's like, what? No way, it can't be you. It's like, dude, what are you talking? You were just standing right behind him. You saw him transform. How fucking stupid is this guy? For some dumbass reason, this little trick is working, and these spikes start raising up in the ground below. Liu finally snaps out of it, and then they fight. Shang has got him basically beat, but then he kind of just walks away. Liu gets up, and he's like, I'm the chosen one, and you're a bitch. And he smacks him around a bit, and then he super punches him onto the spikes, where he decomposes rapidly, and he turns into a giant beam of souls. In that beam is Liu's dead brother, and he comes out and he's like, yo, what's up, dog? And they hold hands, and he's like, we'll be reunited one day. When you die, and then he pieces out. The crew return back to the Temple of Light, triumphant. Earth is saved. Raiden's there waiting. He's like, Jesus, you guys took your sweet ass time. I'm just kidding. And then a temple explodes, and I guess this is the Emperor. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you guys. And they're like, nuh-uh. Mortal Kombat! The end. Not bad. Not bad at all. Again, I thought that the sets were really well done in this. I thought that they were good. Sometimes, yeah, they looked kind of cheap, but I think it worked. I really enjoyed it. Very colorful. I think that they just kind of nailed it. The effects are pretty wild in this movie, but I really enjoyed them. They were really trying some stuff with blue screens and computer animation, and it all looks very unique because I'm sure at the time this is what we had available to us. It looks really bad, but I really enjoy it. Except for Reptile, he looked terrible. Obviously, I think that this movie was geared towards kids, people who are actually playing this video game. It's very much more style over substance, which is just fine with me. Like, I didn't watch this for a deep story. I watched it for combat of the mortal variety. I thought that the fights varied wildly in quality. Some were really great, like Johnny and Scorpion, and some were total shit, like Johnny and Goro. Goro is like the biggest missed opportunity, I feel like, in this movie, where they built him up to be this really scary, crazy, powerful guy, and he just gets punched in the nuts and falls off of a cliff in like a minute. Out of the three main ones, Johnny was probably my favorite one. He seemed like the biggest badass, at least. Sonya felt almost worthless. She beats Kano, and then after that does absolutely nothing, and ends up becoming this damsel in distress, which actually really sucked. But even Raiden was like, oh yeah, if Shang fights her, he'll f***ing kill her. She can't beat him. And it's like, okay, well, why is she here then? The soundtrack is great. Even outside of that theme song, I thought that all of the music in this was great. The story makes very little sense. The characters are also just constantly doing things that don't make any sense. Here are some of the questions that I have. Does Shang absorb the souls of all of the losers? Because we only see him do it twice. And why was Katana able to just basically throw her fight with Liu? Again, why would Johnny agree to letting Shang fight Sonya whenever he wanted so that he could fight Goro? Why did Shang have Liu beat and then just walk away and let him get back up? There were spikes on the ground. He could have just thrown him on those. Overall, not a bad way to spend an hour and a half. Pretty fun, pretty dumb, never boring, and for a 90s video game adaptation, I think it stays pretty faithful to the source. The characters are what they are in the game. It follows the kind of tournament aspect of it pretty well. They even say all the stuff like flawless victory or fatality, all that stuff. They do all the moves. They do it all. What more do you want, you know? But what do you think? Have you seen Mortal Kombat? Do you love it? Do you not love it? Sound off in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on it. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more, and thanks for watching. Bye.